You are listening to Key to the Bridge, brought to you by your friends at Keystone Therapy and Training Services, where we will be sharing human stories, talking about community resources, mental health, and wellness. This is a podcast for everyone. Welcome. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Key to the Bridge. I'm really excited today because I'm here with my two sisters, bringing it back to the original first podcast. We had some requests that occasionally the three of us get together and chat. So we even wore, if you watch the video of this podcast recording, we're even in matching attire because we just went full out today and, give the people what they want. So
100%. At least if we can match in sweaters, then they might actually think that we're all triplets, like we get mixed up for all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes total sense. So I'm super excited to have both of you here and for us to chat about a bunch of different things. But real quick, just make sure you guys can introduce yourselves so people know who you are, and then say which sister you are. Are you the second or the third one? So people listening know. Oh, I'm Erica. I'm first. I'm obviously the best. So that's okay. We can start. We can start with that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thinking leading off for the win. Okay.
Goodness. It's actually first the worst, second the best.
That's correct.
So that's okay. That's
okay. You can have this moment of glory if you'd like.
Okay,
since you're facilitating.
Okay, go ahead. You can go next, Limbo.
Veronica Bosque, number 2.
Alexica Bosque, number 3.
3. You're the third.
The last Ika.
Yeah, the last.
I wrote a poem about that actually.
The last Ick. There's an actual poem.
I wrote it.
There is.
Oh.
In elementary school.
Yeah. Veronica remembers?
I do.
Dad thought it was great. It was framed.
100%.
Thanks for remembering, Erica.
I know.
I guess you're not the best.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
No, not at all.
It was laminated and everything.
Yeah.
Laminated.
Yeah.
Wow. I definitely, that follows. You're the baby. So that would make sense.
Oh, it was a great poem.
Oh. I apologize.
It deserved MVP status.
Yeah.
MVP. Wow.
enough.
Okay, well, then here we are. Just, bantering off. Like I need to drink less coffee this morning for how excited I was. So, the three of us, we're together. We're actually in heart-covered sweaters. Because I think when we get together, it's important for us to talk about different things that are going on in our lives, with our families, in our communities, how we're doing. And I think we three bring an interesting perspective about just, living in Sonoma County, living in NorCal, doing the thing. And we all have very human-related jobs. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Work with humans.
We work with a lot of humans.
Sure do.
We work with a lot. And so what I was hoping we could start by chatting today is just starting to think about how we're feeling kind of right now, out in our community as amazing humans that we are. But also, it's a weird time to be a brown woman. I'm just going to say it. Yeah. I'm just, I'm just going to say it. It's a weird time.
Yeah, for sure.
To be a brown woman. And the three of us being brown women in a place that appears sometimes like it doesn't have as many brown people, but it does. We actually have quite a few people of color who live in Sonoma County, but you wouldn't know. So I was just thinking, as we're settling into the winter time, and I mean, we did have an election and everything that's happening. How are y'all doing? How y'all feeling? I don't know. Who wants to go first?
We can start with you, Alexica, if you'd like.
Alexica said, Is that your answer?
Oh, well, you want me? That means I have to go first?
No, you don't
This
have
is
to.
like when we were at Veronica's wedding, and Erica made me talk first again, so it's weird. I like to be. Am I first?
Yeah,
That's where it goes?
you're pretty good at it.
Okay, well, how does it feel to be biracial in Sonoma County right now, or growing up, or
Well,
what
we can start with right now. We can start with right now.
I mean, right now we are, I don't know, it's very important just to have community. You know what I mean? So for us, I always feel like we made a lot of community around us, and a lot of those individuals that are our community are not people of color, but that's just because there just wasn't a lot of those individuals around when we were growing up, and still really haven't been. But at the same time, the new friendships or people who we grew to be around that are of color are similar in regards to being biracial. I don't think anyone is just one thing. So
technically no one is just
right.
one thing.
That's what I mean.
But that's,
so it's I just think the friend groups and the people that we bring into our homes and everything that like we have is just always an eclectic group. So I don't know. I guess I feel like the community we've built makes me feel more just connected.
Yeah.
Even though we might not look the same.
Yeah. So you're feeling pretty okay, loved on at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like my connection, like immediate with people is fine. I think thinking about yourself, like in the bigger picture of like how the state of, things are happening around us is like different,
Yeah. I do know. Okay, we'll go back to that in just a moment.
Right.
V. Duggar, how you feeling?
Actually pretty similar, where I feel like growing up here in Sonoma County, where we weren't identified by like the color of our skin, right? And so we were the Bosques who fill in blank doing some pretty wonderful things, right? Whether it was sports or academics or building friendships, at least for this side of the table.
Yeah, definitely academics for Veronica.
Yeah. And you.
Well, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, Veronica.
Right.
Not me.
Not Alexica.
okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
We all had our different educational journeys. It was, included with
Definitely.
all college degrees, which is really exciting. And so because that wasn't like at the forefront, at least for me, that I never have felt like ostracized or that I didn't belong or that I was unable to make connections, like Alexica said, with people who were of different skin colors than me, because that wasn't how we were all identified or classified or, boxed in. And there weren't many moments that I can think about where that became such like an identifier that was like threatening or like bad. And so that's really special, I think, that we've been able to have those kinds of experiences here. And I think it's really special. But at the same time, again, reiterating Alexica's point of like the state of the world, and when you start to think about where we are as being somewhat multicolored dots on a wider page, where then are you able to build connections in your life?
Yeah, I think that I'm like thinking about us talking about this because I think we have a unique experience that we were able to grow up in a place that was like predominantly white. We also were middle class, upper middle class, and we had access to a lot of different resources. And so we didn't grow up poor and brown. We grew up brown. And I think that we were lucky enough to be in the communities where people were generally okay with that. Like that was like generally an okay thing. At the same time, you knew you stood out like as our Nana would say, a brown dot on a white page.
Right.
Like you knew that. Like you definitely, and I still know that, like generally speaking. Like when we go out, it's very clear most of the time because of the circles that we're in. And I think right now, I feel like everybody's trying to figure out, like, kind of like the eggshell vibe. Like, I think people are nervous. Like, I get, like, that nervous feeling around a lot of people. Like, what am I supposed to say? What am I not supposed to say? How can I share my thoughts and opinions without, like, offending anyone or hurting somebody's feelings? And so, like, that I've started to notice of, like, people being nervous, I think, about just, like, sharing how they're feeling and what they're thinking. And when you are most of the time the minority in the room, there's like a different kind of like responsibility or code that happens. Like sometimes I feel like I speak for all the brown people because I'm the only brown person in the room. Right. And so they like defer to me. Like, do you know what the browns need? And I'm like, well, I can only tell you about my experience but that kind of thing is still sticking. Like it's still happening here. And I think that's something that our community is working on, which is like how to elevate different voice. But I think for the three of us, at least now as adults, we have like all of the passes like to get into most of the clubs, and like not everybody has all the passes. We do. We have all of the education. We have all of the resources. Like we can get to different tables so we can have different conversations. And just lately I'm aware of that, like what I have access to that maybe some other people do not have access to those things. And so I think about the two of you all the time, because sometimes I'm like, I wish Veronica and Alexica were here, because we were together a lot usually when we were doing those things. And that is also something that I think about, is like it can be kind of lonely if you're the one, or like one of less than 5. When you're less than 5 in a room, it's kind of like, oh, okay. And right now I think people are just trying to figure out how to be who they are and like say what they mean. And honestly, people are a little crunchy. I can't think of another word. Like it feels a little crunchy. Look at my shoulders all the way up in my ears.
What does crunchy mean?
I don't know. I think there's like there's this fear and like crunchiness around like, how are things gonna go? Like how are things gonna go? And so yeah, then I also think it's like funny, and there's lots of funny stuff that happens on a regular basis where people are trying to like learn. I do a lot of teaching.
Right. I was going to say, I think you have a different scope of how it all goes, with regards to the individuals that you teach at San Francisco State and the people that you work with at Keystone, and
yeah, you're in a little bit of a different bubble.
Yeah. Well, I think we all are. I mean, I don't know, you guys work together, but still, like the access to other individuals is just different,
Well, what other kind of bubbles?
Well, I mean, I work at a school with, kiddos, and it's just a different conversation piece. I work in Roseland, and I work at a middle school with wonderful students and their families and my wonderful coworkers and everybody who's there. And, community is like so important. But the only, conversation that comes up is like, we use words like this demographic, right? Like we don't say,
yeah, that means that's brown.
Right. This poor. This, those are the things that we try to, bring up in a different light. And so, I don't know, it's just unique when we have those conversations on a big scale with regards to access to resources for families and students,
Yeah, sure.
that are young.
Yeah, and I think, too, the greater awareness, right? And so we've been able to have access, but that also has brought awareness. And so it's part of, I think, what you're mentioning, Erica, is the crunchiness is because there's more knowledge and awareness about how to not only like identify people, but how are we supporting each other? How can different identities be cultivated and not like invented, but just supported, right? And so as people are moving across any kind of spectrum, whether that's like social or emotional or cultural, that comes with more knowledge and awareness. And so that can lead to some not only like sensitive topics and conversations, but depending on where members of the community are in their own journey, are then able to comment effectively or not. And so to Alexica's point about like different demographics or, all the different categories that people can fall into, that I think right now, especially in current times, that's going to be even more important.
I think there's something, too, to be said about the amount, going back, Alexica, you said a little bit like when we were younger. I think about the amount of skills that you have to gain to be able to explain yourself. Like, I think about growing up and being like, oh, hey, are you adopted? Right. Just for those of us who don't know us, our daddy is white guy, brown hair, blue eyes, more attractive version of Bob Saget, just to give you a visual.
Sure.
Our mom is African American, very dark skinned. Actually looks, I would say, arguably a little like young Whoopi Goldberg. Like that's, I would give. Was there another example that you would give? I'm just trying to give people some visuals.
Sure.
So those are our parents, and we're growing up in a place that was predominantly white, and so like you had to grow up quickly, like realizing how to explain your identities and your backgrounds to people so that there was like a rapport and like a trust building. But I think about how early that started. Like if we were out with Dad, how often were we asked if we were adopted? Regularly we were asked, because if our mom wasn't there, that was the question. And then when we were with our mom, there were like some other questions of like, oh, like just kind of think like surprised. Even I think sometimes the way I sound, right? Like I'll talk to somebody on the phone and then I'll show up and I think they're surprised.
Oh, absolutely.
I know that. Cause
Yeah. Oh, it happens. Yes.
It's like, the privilege of like, we've grown up in like, upper middle class white culture. And so there's a vernacular that we have. And so like we show up and then people are like, oh,
Right.
I thought, I don't know. Definitely, I don't know what was. They weren't expecting me. Yes,
Right, exactly. Constant tan.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And so I do think there's things skills that the three of us have that we bring to things that I'm noticing people trying to figure out how to gain and manage those skills now. And now it's become more of like a necessity. Like it's how do you identify? Like I show up now and I have to like say my name. I have to say my pronouns. People will ask really great questions about like your background and want to know. And so there's like this new culture of like, we've been doing it a long time, but like more people are having to explain or identify themselves. And I do think that is interesting. And then I also think it's an interesting way of like figuring out how people position themselves with one another. Like, because I think people want to know so we can figure out level of comfort in some ways. And I do remember that. And I still get that sometimes. People want to know like, well, can you tell me like tell me about your background? And I'm like, yeah, I know we can be, sometimes it's confusing because it's like, are we black? Are we white? Are we something else? Like that conversation is stuff. And when we were little, I think about how often that happened like all the time. All the time.
Oh, all the time.
I mean, I think about
School pickups and...
Yeah. Or people touching our hair.
Yeah. That still
kind
happens.
of. Like, sorry.
That memory made Alexica choke.
Yeah.
It did a little bit.
Yeah.
I was thinking I guess we had a balance though, because like we had living in Sonoma County, being here, or at least I had a balance, and then it was being with my our Nana in Marin and like our uncles and mom and everybody. So it was like you kind of bounce back and forth between being like with your white family and with your black family. Like it was kind of the balance of that happening more often for me, I feel like. And I was there like most weekends. So
Yeah.
it just was a different dynamic.
I have to go back to this. What's the weirdest way somebody's touched your hair? How many strangers have you had touch your hair?
Too many to count. And I would say that the difference is how quickly like the hands come out before the question or permission gets asked, right?
Yeah.
But standing in grocery lines to where like,
grocery lines. That's the one that always gets me. Somebody who touches you on the back of your head and then you turn around slowly and they look at you and you're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I just had to touch your hair.
I'm so sorry. I just had to touch your hair. And you're like, wow. All right. Hi.
I know. You're lucky it's us.
Right.
You are lucky it's us.
You never know. If you do that to somebody else, it might not be great.
Yeah. But like those are the types of things that I feel like now I'm noticing more, or remembering more because of, back to your saying, sort of like the state of the world. Like I'm way more aware of how I look and how I sound and what's going on because like it's just everywhere constantly. It's just
totally.
constant.
Well, I was thinking, like, when I grew up.
Are you still growing up?
No,
I think you
know.
are.
I'm
are
all
you,
the way grown up now.
You're all grown up.
I am all grown up now.
Welcome. I don't feel that way. I'm glad you feel that way.
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
No,
Okay.
I was just kidding.
Oh, okay.
When I was in high school, I guess middle school, high school, for me, hair was like the thing that could show my blackness. So I would always get my hair done.
You did.
I got my hair done a lot.
Yeah, you did. You had some sweet braids.
Yeah, braids, every kind of braid.
It was so good.
There's so many.
Are you ever going to go back to the braids?
No,
the braids
you know
were
what's
great.
funny? I had
like
so
braids.
many. Yeah, I had my hair braided, mostly because I played sports and I hated doing my hair. So it was like, I mean, that started at a young age though, like doing your hair and not having like the right products because your hair is like, not easy to put up and it gets frizzy and all the things. But I like started with regular braids, and then I got like the brandy braids, the little tight ones that took like 10 hours to do. Yeah, the brandy braids. And then you got like weave.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. That's what happened.
Yep.
Brandy was big, so it was a good idea. But it was nice because I got my hair done, and then I wouldn't have to do my hair for like, I want to say it was like 2 months. I mean, don't worry, you guys. We washed our hair. It wasn't gross. It just stayed braided, and you got to just put like braid products on, and then I took my braids out. And I straightened my hair. I straightened it so often.
I like how you say straightened.
I know.
Me too.
Every time. Straightened. How do you want me to say?
I don't know, but I like it.
Anyways,
That's what I say.
so I
I
would
like
straighten my hair, and I don't know, just did that for a long time. I guess that's what I mean, like my hair being different, like texture and like all those things, like really was a fun part of being biracial that I had, because I could do more fun stuff, and it was not looked at as being like, I don't know, like, should you do that, you know?
Yeah. We did have, I just think, I'm
loved
wondering
getting it
too, we're sitting in some spaces now too where, I don't know, I get asked a lot of questions. I don't know if anybody else gets asked a lot of questions, but I get asked like a lot of questions. Like people come to me and be like, Erica, can you tell me about this? Or can you tell me about that? Or like, what do you think about this? And I'm not that I had like a crystal ball, but like I think about that like type of responsibility of people wanting to learn, but not knowing where like safe spaces are to ask questions or to talk to people. And having so many, well, we got white people in our family. I mean, Veronica and I are both married to white boys. I got a tall blondie, and Veronica's got a cute little ginger boy. I love him. So do I. It's great. I love them both. But you know what I mean? And I think like that piece too of the more of the I don't know, the mixing of cultures and things happening, but people like asking questions. I've gotten some like tough questions, like that people want to, and I think they're just trying to process. I don't really think they want me to answer them, but I think they're trying to figure out how they feel about what's going on and what's going to happen in the future. And it's going to be weird too. So thinking about where we are and what we're doing in 2040, to your point, Alexica, way earlier, the idea of like what people are or how we're going to like check boxes is going to be so mixed that the concept of like white is going to be even hard to define, even though it's always been a mixture of different cultures already.
Yeah, of course.
But even now it'll be way harder. We're going to say biracial, and like people are just going to start saying multiracial because there's going to be so many different things like all mixed together. And so I just wonder, like, when you guys are sitting in spaces right now, how is it feeling with people who are like not doing so great, maybe with how everything's going on?
What do you mean not doing great?
I don't know. Like maybe they're like bummed, or they're worried, or they're stressed, or maybe some people, I don't know. There's also been some awkward conversations with people being excited and trying to figure out how to like manage it all, because we kind of get smushed in the middle of all of it.
I would say that I'm not necessarily in many spaces to where like I feel uncomfortable or threatened, as I mentioned earlier, that I feel like trusted, right? And it's like you're asking about why like we get posed questions is because we've become like a trusted member of our community, and that I think that trust can, I would say, be shared depending on what spaces we're in. And so right now, thinking about tough conversations that we've had, I never felt a feeling of being scared. And right now, thankfully, like I still don't have that feeling. More just worry and sadness for people who do.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a really amazing place to get to wake up and like exist, right? That, at least for me, like I don't feel scared.
Yeah. I mean, we do have the privilege of living in California. I mean,
Absolutely.
we live in California, so we have a lot of things that a lot of other places don't have or are slowly going to lose
Right.
in some regard.
Totally.
What you thinking of there, Alexa?
For me, it always comes down to, like, I shouldn't say never. It's never been about, like, a lot of race stuff for me, like, growing up and everything that's ever gone on. It's about, like, humans and, like, caring. I don't know. I feel like it was ingrained in us from both sides of our family, like, the importance of how we take care of each other and what that means to take care of each other. And so when I have conflict with individuals who might not view the world the way I do or current political situation as I do, like, the moral issue that I have is about humans and how we can care for all humans, everyone. And it's always been, I don't know, my downfall.
I don't think it's downfall. It's not a downfall.
That's where my worry goes, right?
Yeah.
Though, is like I worry a lot about, like, other people and how they're doing and what they need and how do we get them what they need, and you get into, like, action mode of, like, how do we help and what do we, at a cost of, caring about a lot of people. But that's where the conflict is for me, is, like, I think that I'm necessarily battling, like, racists. I'm battling people who don't view humanity the same way that I do, which is a different conversation. Like,
Yeah, we're yeah, you're right. I mean, like, we grew up in a space where you're going to care about even the people you're in conflict with.
correct.
Absolutely.
And, like, that's like, you don't it's
Because
easy
that can be
it's easy
good.
yeah it's easy to care about the people who
You like.
and
Well, that are like-minded and that
Yeah.
are morally and
yeah
aligned
and I think about that was ingrained real early, but I do think it was ingrained early because our families knew that we were growing up in spaces where we were different. And so that we were going to meet and be around people who maybe liked or didn't like that we were different, and that we had to learn real early that you need to even try to be caring and compassionate to the people who may not like you. And I do
Agree with you. I mean, I think, like, that's, like, the harder part. So it's like the decisions that I have to make moving through the next 4 years is just going to be
for the rest of your life. Actually, let's be clear. We're gonna be.
You're right.
We're gonna be in some form of this forever.
That's true.
Because you're an anthropologist, you know.
Well, yes, but I just say currently, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's like
currently.
what we're going to have to work through is just, like, can do your community. So, like, who you pick to be around, and, like, the people I want to be around are people that are going to be, like, in the same thought processes of, like, humanity for me, but, like, not disregarding the other opinions, shall we say, but it just might be, like, a less, I don't know. We're not going to, I think, I'm going to have a lot less conversations so that there's not a lot of argument. Like, I don't want to argue about those things. I don't think that, like, creates the vibe that I ever want to put out in the world with regards to all that stuff. But I'd like to educate to people who are willing to listen and understand, So asking questions is totally fine. Like, the people do ask a lot of questions, but are you listening to what the answer is, or are you listening for an answer that you would like to hear? So,
Wow, that really did sound like our grandmother. That sound like a Nana phrase.
yeah.
Are you listening to me?
Yeah, exactly. Are you listening, or are you
kind of maybe not.
are you
really
listening to what you want to hear?
What do you want to hear?
Say? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I also too think about the three of us. To your point, being warm and wanting to be in community with people all the time, and, like, there's some weight to that. Like, we have a lot of communal responsibility. Like,
Yeah.
we have a lot of communal responsibility, and I do think, like, historically speaking, like, women, and we're going to say that, I'm not saying men don't, but women have a lot of responsibility in, like, trying to keep people, like, together and connected and loving on one another. I mean, we're in heart sweaters.
Yeah.
We're, like, showing
Absolutely.
like
100%.
love is 100% where it's at. And so I'm wondering, what is some of like your favorite things that like you're noticing and seeing and experiencing right now that are like really good? Right? Like the fact, I know it sounds cliche, but sometimes I'm like, to even my kiddos, like the fact that I exist and that you all exist and that we're here is a form of progress, or like things that have changed.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? And so like, what are some things right now that you're around or experiencing that are really good? That you're like, oh, this is like something's happening. We're like doing some good stuff, or I'm doing some really good stuff. You're both doing so much. I'm surprised it's taking you this long to think about it.
No.
I guess I'm trying to think about how to, with like good stuff.
You're
you
just
mean,
gonna,
like, like feelings. Like, what do you want?
Feelings.
What do you
They
like?
could be things you're doing, experiences. I mean, you're literally changing lives every day at a school.
Right.
Right? I mean, like literally, you're literally doing that every day.
Yeah. No, I think what's...
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No worries. I think what's amazing, right, is not only like the relationships we have, the families we have, the amazing ability that we all have somehow magically all come back together to like live within like 15 minutes of each other, right?
It is a good deal.
Right? It's so great. And you think about like experiences, right, in the communities that we've built and all of the fun colors of the individuals that are in our communities, and where it's either Friday night or Sunday night dinner or birthday party celebrations or the holidays that we just finished, you know, all of those really special moments that like come with relative ease, which I think is also really special. And so shedding all the magical light of our family members is definitely something that I'm really thankful and appreciative for.
I mean, we do see each other a lot.
Yeah, I think at our peaceful 30-person Sunday night dinner.
Right. Exactly. That's on a light.
Yeah,
on a light.
That's always so funny when everybody's
Yeah.
like, Sunday night dinner, you guys do it every week. I'm like, yeah. And every week there's, on a low end, it's 20 people.
No, okay,
It's
yeah.
20
probably
people.
less.
It's
20 people.
I mean, 20. I
There's
mean,
11 of us
I
just
always
natal. Like, that's
Right.
just our family with your kids.
See, she went with the anthropology word.
I'm just saying, there's only 11 of us.
She got it.
like, I mean, that's true.
If one other group of people shows up, we're at like 20 people.
Yeah, I know. I always forget the children too now. Like, 'cause
Yeah,
we're rolling
a lot of those.
deep
Yes,
on
you
the
are.
babies.
Yeah,
Yes, you are.
So
Yeah.
many kids.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting because we are around each other a lot. And I don't think necessarily, I don't know how normal that is now for people to be around their friends and family like as often as we are.
No, I don't
because
know.
the
I think it's very
isolation
rare.
stuff is,
Yeah.
you know, not as fun. That's not as fun.
Well, I think it's hard because I think there's other. I mean, there's other family setups where they also don't see each other a lot because, like, being around each other isn't as fun.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, it's like it's just not.
Yep.
You know.
Oh, no, I heard-
It's gonna be
woo.
activities
Yeah.
that are just not.
Go
you
to
know what they
Trader
want.
Joe's during the holiday seasons. You hear some things.
Yeah, I believe it.
I had to de-escalate some folks.
Yeah.
Because people are worried.
Yeah.
Worried.
About who they're going to be around and are they going to get the right appetizer? And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's okay.
That does happen.
It's going to be all right.
Well,
I mean, they're
Buried to
out
the
of
shelf.
pigs in a blanket.
Right.
Just relax. Yeah, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right.
Yeah,
But it's really intense.
It is.
It is.
It's very, and that's the kind of stuff that happens through the holidays, right? Like everybody is. Sometimes it's a forced activity that isn't as fun. I don't know another word to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's, I think something that I'm excited about the fact things that are happening is, yes, that we're all together, but I do think I love the conversations. I think like that's the thing that I want us to just keep talking. Like, and even if we, like you're saying, Alexa, we don't have to agree on everything, but like we do have to just like keep talking to each other, because I think that that's something that I worry about is not on, I mean, you can talk on social media. I mean, this podcast is going to be on social media, but I just think that we also need to keep going back to like sitting around tables or sitting, standing, I don't care where you are, but like physically getting together with people as often as we do is super important and something that I like.
Well, and the energy return, right?
Yeah.
And think about what I would say the theme of our whole upbringing, and I think what's helped shaped us as people is that community of like being in person in real life with people, and that like that's where the interactions are taking place. And so, as we know, that the power of being in a room together and what that can lead to. And that's really special and unique.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this summer. So we went to South Carolina. We made like the pilgrimage because that's sort of what it felt like. We hadn't been there in 15 years, and it was like the first time going back without our Nana. Mm-hmm. And I think about going there this summer because, I mean, the Deep South is a very different place than California in a lot of amazing ways, and also in a lot of like sort of feels like a little time machine-y. Like a little time, there's just, I mean, literal time machine. Like you're walking around stuff that's been around since the beginning.
That is,
the beginning of
it's like a back
our country
situation.
Yeah.
That coast was first. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
sure was.
For real.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about it, talking to my kiddos about it, and they're still talking about going to church.
Oh yeah,
they're still talking about the experience of going to, you know, Joshua Baptist Church in Charleston, South Carolina, on Dorchester Road, like south, and being in a room with so many people, but also like feeling really comfortable, like the community part, and they're still talking about the music.
Yeah, of course.
Like they're still talking about it, and I think that I hope that we get to do more of that, and that communities get back to just like being together more. I mean, I will never forget. Yeah, the babes, the kiddos, and then our husbands sitting there, and they're like, "What's happening? What's
It is hard
going on?"
to explain. You have to experience it. You just have to.
I mean,
just
it's
such a
joy, like at
On
another
another
level.
level.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's. And like also, it's okay, mixed emotions, because there's a lot of things happening in the room for lots of different people. I mean, I boohooed, like, so I cried most of the time I was there.
Me too.
A lot
too.
of crying.
Yeah,
I mean,
me
I was happy, but I was also just lots of crying because
Yeah.
it's so intense.
Powerful.
It's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I just think, so like that's a powerful, good experience that I think about. But I think about how we're going to do more of that, or what are other ways that we're getting that. And we're lucky, I think, that we get it as often as we do.
Well, yeah, and I think church is like obviously religion, you know, you can go all things, but it's more about like the community of people that you get to be around, you know, and everyone in that church was very like welcoming and warm and wonderful, and that feeling of, I don't know, just being connected to something, you know, like I will not say that we are religious. Sorry, Dad. But we are, you know, we did all the things in the beginning. Okay, did all the things, but I won't say that. But I will be religious at a Baptist church. Oh, sure. Because it's just a different power of religion, you know?
well, and I think it's
You like the vibe.
The
yeah.
vibe. Oh,
Well, and it like unites people, right?
Right,
And so you
yeah.
think about like
Connection,
anchors,
yeah.
right? And so whether it's church, and so again, that's like a consistent anchor, right? Is that
Yeah. Yeah, we have Sunday night dinner. Like, that's an anchor to
Yeah,
me.
absolutely.
We have it, I mean, pretty much every week.
and like traditions, right? And so you were asked a really good question about like what are some things that we're like excited about or like happy about, and all those things is like anchors. And I think that was part of also like our upbringing around like was whether it was like Nana's house or we had sports or, you know,
Yeah, music or yeah, traveling or just hanging out on our street. I think about the street we grew up on too. We were like rolling 40 kids deep on that street.
Yes.
Yep. Everybody taking care of each other's
absolutely.
Yeah.
kiddos.
And the anchor was when the streetlights came on.
Streetlights came on, and then if necessary, somebody like whistled or like
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the
or
whistle. It's like, time to go in.
like time to go inside.
Yeah.
But it was we had that, and I think that I wish we had more ways of being connected in that way. I mean, and I don't know how much everybody's getting of that. Maybe I'm making an assumption. But
No, I think it's a great question. You talked about how we get asked a lot of questions, and I think that would be a really great one in some new spaces around like where are your positive or loving or community anchors, and what are those, and how did you cultivate them, and who's maybe sharing in the same anchor.
Yeah. It's weird because, like, I have two sisters. And so, like, I literally don't, like, have a reality without anchors. I mean, Veronica was 2 when I showed up. I mean, I had like 5
Other way,
minutes.
you were 2 when I showed
was
up.
2. Thank you.
You're welcome. Because
you weren't 2.
No.
That would be like giving birth to an elephant. That wouldn't work.
you remember
2.
you led this off with your first.
Yeah, that's
so.
true. I was 2.
Yeah.
When Veronica showed up. But I gotta think about that, sometimes too, I think we just need gentle reminders of what we do have access to. And I hope that we're in the winter. Right now is like a hard time, and sometimes people feel,
Well, they lose the anchors.
yeah,
Because of, weather or mood
or dynamics.
Right.
Opportunities. I mean, the holidays, it's like everybody has a reason to be around each other if you want to, but coming up with like the other reasons again, like after it's over, like that's the hard part too.
Yeah, or you maybe don't have people you don't really want to be around.
Right.
That also too. I mean, we have like the extreme. I mean, we have the opposite problem. We have to set caps on
That's
the
true.
amount
Yeah,
of
we
things
do.
that
Yeah.
we're doing.
Like loneliness isn't a
No,
we have to
feeling we get.
no.
So,
Yes,
Yeah.
no.
Be like,
I mean, no.
I'm busy tonight.
Yeah,
What are you
no.
doing?
I'm with myself.
I'm busy.
Yeah.
I am.
The couch and I have a date.
Yeah, exactly. I cannot. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a different-
It's a wonderful problem to have. Being
Right.
so connected to having like all the
And I think that's also why
access to
too
things.
we haven't had really like horrible experiences where we felt like separated or disconnected
Yeah.
or any of those things. And so that's incredible to be
we
able
also
to
get
say.
to grow up in like the best time of. I mean, I feel that way for at least our generation, like with regards to access to how it all has
Like technology, you mean?
Yeah, I mean,
how
I'm,
it's
I'm
all
really
gone.
appreciative of
Yeah.
growing up pre-cell phone.
Right,
Oh,
but at the same time, like I think
Dial-up
that
internet.
the having access to all those things, like growing up in a different time frame, like you could be like we could still be in contact with our cousins from South Carolina who we like got to see once a summer, once a year, and like we still can be in contact with them now, like in so many different ways. We get to be in contact with each other when we weren't around each other. Just phones they do serve a purpose, but now things have gone like so far the other direction.
Gone rogue.
Yeah. So, but us growing up, it was just nice to have that access to connection too. Like we didn't ever have to feel not connected because we could always talk to each other.
Yeah.
In some way.
And I think too, like all 3 of us have chosen professions that are about using our access and like our privilege in a way that is about staying connected. Like, and I do think that sometimes because we had resources, but I also think it speaks to some of like who we are. There were things that happened to us when we were young or even as adults that have been really hard, but we're able to like go back to the anchors or tap into our community resources or use all of our skills and all of our learning. And I think that us figuring out how we're going to continue to do that for our community is also unique. And I would love for us to just keep encouraging people to be like, come on, join us. Like, just come on. Like, there's so much to do. There's so much to do. And we have a lot of cool opportunities. But I hope that we don't, in the worry of some things that are going on, we can get frozen for a minute. I mean, it is actually winter. So I get like kind of like chilling like on what's going on right now. But also too, like, what do you want to be a part of?
You literally named an organization with the bridge as a logo.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I did. We did. I mean, we did collectively like come together and kind of say like, yeah, we need some more bridges. Like, we need more of that. Like, come on. Like, come on over. Like, and I think that that's also unique. Because I think there's places where people don't feel like that's okay. And we're always like, yeah, more the merrier.
Yeah.
Like, bring it on in. And I guess I'm wondering for you two, like, what are you thinking are things that you want to keep doing, that you're doing kind of out in the world that you're wanting to do? Or maybe something, I'll say both questions, or something you hope to do. Something you're doing out in the world that you really love doing and something you hope to do. Wow, another long pause.
Right? It's a really good question.
Something we're doing out in the world. Working with youth is like always wonderful. They are the future. So we have to enlighten them to a lot of information, you know?
Yeah.
In eighth grade, I was telling Veronica this weekend. In 8th grade, they learn about slavery and the Holocaust.
Wow.
So it's a super light year.
Right.
You know,
That's
like
a lot.
we are just constantly just like, that's like,
Both in the same year?
correct.
Yeah.
I mean, in separate like semesters,
It's-
but that's like, and I mean, a lot of like it's U.S. history, and then it's also world history. Like it's just history.
I
you know?
understand, but that's a lot.
So like, and so I've been working at schools for this is my 15th year, and so every year I've been like, okay, that's what happens in 8th grade, right? But every year there's a new 8th grade group that's like, this is what's happening to me. Like
Right.
this is insane. Like learning about those two things at the same time. So the amount of questions, the amount of things, like all the stuff that comes up, it's just very like powerful to be there consistently to answer a lot of questions and to have like those really important conversations with kids that are not trying to be anything more than
Curious.
unknown.
Curious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they just
curious.
are just very confused and don't really, like they get it, but they don't know how this could have happened. Like there's just so much that goes on with it. And so when those things that happen throughout the year, I think is when I get to have those kind of conversations with kids with regards to what it means and what it looks like and comparing it to some things that are happening, now, just a lot of questions being asked. So it's just some stuff that we have to continue to do that, empowering the youth with regards to education. It's important.
Yep.
It's really important to be just knowledgeable in whatever it is that you choose to want to learn about, but having knowledge. is
You
powerful.
guys, do you hear this? This is the person who didn't like school.
I don't.
I just want to say she's pro-education, but she did not, while she was in it, it was questionable.
Right.
Now she's all for it. She's all in.
Well, I don't know about that. I think what I am is I'm definitely pro-education. Always been like learning is powerful and
Absolutely.
it's useful and it's all the things. I think that our education system has many things it needs to improve on.
Okay.
So I can't get behind like all of it, but I can just say that I think that learning is powerful and that's what we need to focus on the most.
I believe the children are our future. Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
2 songs.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm feeling it. Okay, got
Yes.
Brandy and Whitney, and
Right.
let's just go.
Right.
Okay, excellent. What about you, V? Anything you doing? You want to do?
I'm really just marveling at how all the professional opportunities have been centered around like supporting human beings, right? And so I think about how I'm really loving continuing that kind of work. And so I would say part of what I have enjoyed doing is continuing to help and like facilitate more human connection. And so whether that's here at Keystone or out in the world with, other relationships I'm getting to build and all of those things, and having, recently been married where now you have someone who you hope you get to be with for forever. And so what does like our lives look like? And so like that's really what I like hope for is how mine and my husband's life are now going to be shaped together and moving through this world with somebody who you aren't related to, right?
Hopefully.
Nope.
Hopefully not.
We did make sure that
Double check.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That wasn't a box we got to check.
It's not I feel like that's something that can happen like easily.
Sorry.
You're so funny.
No, that's
23 Me has got my brain
Yeah.
scrambled. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, hope not. Yeah, uh-huh.
Exactly. And so that's what I think I'm excited and hopeful for.
Yeah, building those lives together. Yeah, I think right now I'm in kid land. And so I'm in this place of very much wanting to continue to hold on to like staying in connection with little, predominantly little kids, like people under the age of 10, because that is a zone that I think has been underappreciated and like under acknowledged and respected in a lot of ways. And like those little folks, man, they know what's up. And like we need to like stay tapped into that. They ask some questions that I'm like, whoa. And I think we're coming into a time where we're kind of shushing them less, which I think is like important. But yeah, when you're small, there's a different type of clarity on some things. And so I'm excited to like stay connected to that as long as I can. And then I mean, then everybody in my house will be moving to adolescence, so that'll be a different phase. I'll just have to
I'll help you.
I'll just send them to Alexica's
I work
house.
with I
but
work with 11 to 14-year-olds.
Yeah, I think that like
my
that's like
jam.
yeah, I don't. Wow. Yeah, I just think like that's super important because they talk about like future. I keep thinking about like what their little lives are going to be like. I mean, literally, I got children who like lived through fires, born during a pandemic. All the things happening, and they're like different people though than me. They've already been through some things that I'm like, wow, you're just built different, and like that's because I mean it's so that I'm super excited. I'm super excited about. Okay, the last question I have for you is, what is something you really love about yourself right now? Yep, I said it. I said it. Yep. Love me. We're going to end with some loving me.
Absolutely.
Because we all need to remember to love yourself first.
Yeah. Love about myself. I mean.
Yep. What is it?
The list is endless.
I know. Exactly. Yeah. I'm just scrolling through the Rolodex of all the things. One thing. Did you say one thing?
I mean, I don't know how, yeah, maybe, yeah, one.
I don't know. V, do you have yours? I have to think.
Sure. About what you love about yourself?
Yeah.
There's so many things.
I know. I'm just thinking about it. Picking one, remember?
Right. I would say excluding like physical attributes, because I think
Well, yeah, you be hot, so.
well, we all are in our
You're so
unique way, you know.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Sure. I would say that I love that I hug people as you get to meet, and again, like physical connection is like really important, and so I love that I'm able to like engage in pretty consistent like physical connection.
Yeah, Veronica is a good hugger. I will say that. She like
True.
like you get
is for real though.
you get a
Well,
squeeze.
you're gonna bring it in for the real thing.
I know.
So
you are
that's-
a really
that's
good
what I
hugger,
love
and I
about
love that
myself,
you love yourself. You are.
Yeah, that I love to engage in like physical connection through hugs.
Yeah, you are. You're really good at it. People talk about it. She hugged somebody at an event the other night, and someone goes, "Wow!" She goes, "I really needed that."
Yeah.
Oh my god,
That's
you did.
good. Yeah.
Veronica
That's
needed that.
great. Yeah.
Okay, go Lexo.
I like that I'm a good friend.
You are a
good
good friend.
friend.
You are.
That's what I mean, I work very hard to be a good
Yeah.
friend.
Okay. You don't have to undermine it. You are.
you don't have to justify it. You're okay.
I like being, that's my favorite. I love friends.
Yeah, Alexica.
I know you do.
You're hardcore.
Friends
You
a
are
lot,
hardcore.
and friends are like family, and my family are my friends, and that's what I love the most.
Perfect.
What about you?
I think something I like about myself is I'm good at like bringing people together.
Yeah.
Like I'm like good at that. Like let's come together. Like there's never a bad time to show up. There's never a bad time to be together. Like that's really
That's it.
important.
Right. Absolutely.
And I think I'm good at that. So I mean, so between hugging friends and bringing people together,
Right.
maybe we just need like a side party business.
Right.
We just like host parties.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, where
We
talk
host
about-
a lot of parties already.
I know.
We do.
Maybe we
Remember
just
the
need to
life
be-
anchors I was
Yeah,
mentioning?
like-
We do that.
I think like we have to. I don't know if we need to host any more parties, but
We're really good at them.
Yeah.
We do. But I just think it's important, like, to, model a little bit about talking about things that you also, as we wrap up here, just like loving on yourself. Because people who are listening are probably going to also be some people who really care about us or know who we are. And so we just want to, like, acknowledge and appreciate, like, that ourselves and, like, our community because we're pretty rad. So, as we're in this wintry.
and we are very thankful for our community, all
Yeah.
the people that we surround ourselves with, and growing up in this community, like Veronica said, like we feel and have felt connected for the majority of all times that I don't know, we've been doing things.
Absolutely.
So I hope that continues through whatever will come.
Yeah.
'Cause it's coming.
Yeah, man. Well, change is the only thing that is
Yeah.
consistent. So we're just going to roll with that. I just appreciate you all showing up every once in a while on the podcast because I think it's fun to sit and talk to the
Sure.
to the two of
We
you.
appreciate the invitation.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank
Happy
you.
to be here.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
You've been listening to Key to the Bridge, a podcast brought to you by your friends at Keystone Therapy and Training Services. I'm your host, Veronica Bosque. Key to the Bridge is recorded and produced by Jeff Henderson and Brian Henderson. This is a podcast for everyone.